Ayi bobo, bon combat. Ayi bobo, bon combat. Ayi bobo. As much as possible, we would like to give voice to our people on the ground. And so every guest that I speak to in relation to We Stand With Haiti, I will ask them this question, and don't worry if you are unable to answer it for whatever reason. But I don't know to what extent you can give voice to just the ordinary people on the ground, yeah, and what they are saying about what is taking place in Haiti conditions. You know, what are the people on the ground saying? Are you
people on the ground are struggling because what's happened in the past, you know, the thing is the people on the ground have been dying and suffering for years, right? Mm-hmm. It's only now it's making the news, but you know, like 2-3 years ago, we were writing our organization Black Alliance for Peace against the increased violence in the poor neighborhoods, because that's where they always go. But that's also the places where you have the most radicalism. We work with a group. There's a group called Molegaf. I don't remember what they stand for. It's a French an acronym, and then they're like this really radical group, and they're underground. They're from the popular neighborhoods, right? Yeah. And you have the rural areas, Tekole Vivant. Some you have these agricultural rural area organizations. The people on the ground are struggling because they're caught in the crossfire between the few Haitian police that are funded by the U.S., but also the elite that have their own armed military guards. And so as people are fighting one another, and mind you, these armed militias, these groups are coming from the very crowded, poor neighborhoods. And so people get caught in crossfire all the time. They were also being killed when these various militias were going into other people's neighborhoods and, you know, targeting young men and so on and so forth. So on the ground, people are struggling and dealing with this, with the fallout from what's happening, right? And so we have to be clear that, like, you know, one of the things that saved even my a couple of my family members who lived in the Port-au-Prince area, they basically went back home into the rural area where, you know, so that's why a lot of people have left the city and basically are living in, you know, in the rural areas where they have family and so on and so forth. So so they're in the other parts of the country, the northern part of the country. They're those who can leave. And so that's what it is. Well, it is the poorest people. And that's why I say this yesterday was the first time that these armed groups actually tried to attack. The rich folks, but remember, the rich folks are heavily armed. Like, you know, the biggest billionaire, the only billionaire in Haiti is Bijou, who's also a Zionist, is the Israeli consulate in Haiti. Yeah, he has Mossad armed guards. You know, it's like he has so these rich people have like foreign armed guards guarding.
Wait, sister, 1 second. Sorry, did you say literal Mossad armed guards?
That's what people say. I wouldn't know. I know that he.
All right, okay. I'm about to say, boy, that's serious.
But
for those who are not aware, sorry, sister. For those who are not aware, Mossad is the Israeli CIA, the Israeli Central Intelligence Agency. Yeah. So what our sister saying is that it's rumored that Haiti's only billionaire, who's a Zionist Israeli, has Mossad armed guards.
That is the rumor. Yes.
That is the rumor. So that basically Israeli intelligence is protecting this guy in Haiti. Sorry, sister. Just finish your statement because
I'm glad you said, because I didn't want to just throw that out like that. Like it is a rumor, right? But the thing is, he's powerful. But at the same time, you know, I'm telling you the hypocrisy of the West, because just last year the Canadian government sanctioned 5 of the elites, the oligarchy, non-Black, by the way. Haitian oligarchy is not Black, you know, for the most part, right? Yeah. They're not even the mulatto oligarch, you know, that used to be the mulatto elite that were mixed race population from, you know, from the revolutionary times to the present. But these are like imported oligarchy. The Canadian government sanctioned Bijou, that, you know, he's the billionaire, sanctioned Sharif, I forgot his last name, sanction all these people for their participation in providing arms and support for the armed groups, right? And for drug trafficking and so on and so forth. So these governments know exactly who's arming these people, where the guns are coming from. And so they sanction them. Of course, the U.S. did not sanction these groups because their mansions are in Florida. These people have their mansions and their houses in Florida. The Canadian government also sanctioned Michel Martelly, who's the former president, as well as his former prime minister, Laurent Lamort, right? So these people know exactly what's going on. They know who's the cause of it, but you would never see that in the news. You'd never see the names of these oligarchy and the elite show up in the news in terms of fomenting, creating the conditions that allow things to be the way they are today.
My sister, I was going to come to this question later, but since you brought it up, I was not aware, because obviously for those who study the history of Haiti, you will know of the phenomena of the so-called mulatto elite, and the extent to which that has been a social factor from enslavement times till now. Okay, I was not aware until very recently of the fact that now the elite in Haiti is actually decidedly non-African, right? You know what I'm saying? And a foreign import, so they're not even like people that were born in Haiti, you know what I'm saying, like they are in places like Jamaica or or elsewhere in the Caribbean, where you've got a native quote unquote elite that was imported 50 100 years ago, right? This is a recent importation. So the question then becomes, how did that happen? How did the elite go from being so-called mulatto to being Israeli and Syrian?
It's Lebanese. It's really interesting. That's something I'd actually have to research as well, because it did happen. It's not that the mulatto elite is not there. They're still there. They're the ones that, they can fly their kids to, the Dominican Republic or to Miami for schools. Their kids, and so they're still there. But there is a huge elite that that came into the country in the early 1900s during the U.S. occupation, 1915 to 1934. Okay. You have that, and I have to say, one of the key things that people don't realize, and I have to give credit to, there's one elite family that was actually very supportive of the Haitians, and they supported the Aristide, the Lavalas movement, and they were the Ismaili brothers. They were Palestinians, and they were wealthy Palestinian merchants that settled in Haiti, and there were two brothers that funded the People's Movement, and they were both assassinated. And so the only time you have these two elite try to help the locals, they're both assassinated by the paramilitary groups. So it is fascinating, right? Like people, in the Caribbean, people always talk about the Caribbean, and I'm just like, when I go to places like Jamaica, Antigua, Barbados, like nobody talks about these white folks who run the country, who have all the money, like the elite of, and it's the same with Haiti. And until we start talking about those groups of people that make money off of our backs, that make, when the so-called international community comes, or when aid comes, that money goes through them because they own the industries. With neoliberalism, they privatize all the industries. That's why you have Jamaica, where people don't even have access to their own beaches because they're all owned by foreigners with the help of these transnational elites. And so this is the problem with the whole Caribbean. And this is the other thing I wanted to say is, if we don't stop exceptionalizing Haiti and seeing that our problems are very similar, right? It's a neo-colonial problem. And so we all need decolonization from the West. We need these Europeans and Americans to take their foot off our necks. The difference between Haiti and the rest of the Caribbean is like the rest of the Caribbean, the leaders don't see that the boot is there. We feel it and we see it. They have it. They just don't realize it.
Yes. No, you're right, sister. And you're I don't know, like the spirit of Cecile Fatiman is with you at the moment, because you keep preempting my next question, right? You know what I'm saying? So in that sense now, I was going to come to the question of CARICOM,